So myself, Yatin Batra, editor and treasurer of Chemical Society. So I hope that many of students have joined our lecture, and today we are back with a all new lecture on lightening the lockdown lecture series. So with us we are having today Dr. Vandana Valla, associate professor at Department of Chemistry, GNDU. And we have invited her to give a lecture on her ongoing research work on supramolecular chemistry and its applications in molecular recognition and catalysis. So this is our today's lecture on supramolecular chemistry by Dr. Vandana Valla. And I would like to give a brief about her. So these are some of the achievements that I have listed in my PPT. So she had made many achievements in her career. So I will discuss some of them. So the first is she received the bronze medal by Chemical Research Society of India in 2015 for her contribution in chemical sciences. Thomson Reuters Research Excellence India Citation Award in 2015. And very happy to tell you that she was the first woman in India to to achieve this award. And she also awarded by Bhagya Tara Award by Punjab University for her contribution in organic chemistry. She also has received Professor S.S. Sandhu Award in the year 2017 by Indian Chemical Society. And first Shivnath Rai Kohli mid-career Best Scientist Award for her contribution in Chemical Society, which was awarded to her by Punjab University, Chandigarh. She have also received Rajiv Goel Award by Goel Foundation and Kurukshetra University in collaboration in 2018. And very happy to tell you that she has published more than 180 research papers in reputed international journals, and has also done many of the research projects by receiving funding from various agencies of India, such as CSIR, DRDO, SARB, and DST. So I would like to invite her to take the session forward. Welcome, Dr. Vandana. So I request you to please continue with your lecture, and I will stop the screen sharing. You may open your PPT now.
Is it visible?
Yes, this is visible.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is clearly.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Venus, and thanks, Jatin, for nice introduction, and a very good afternoon to all of you. So today I am going to discuss some of the results from our lab on the supramolecular chemistry and how we are using supramolecular chemistry for molecular recognition and catalytic applications. The lecture is not very high, so I have prepared it at your level. So please enjoy it, and if you have any question, you can ask me. So first of all, what is supramolecular chemistry? So basically, supramolecular chemistry, if we go by the Nobel Prize, it was there in 1987. But supramolecular chemistry is not very young. It goes to early 20th century when from the colloids, then linear polymer, and then these three gentlemen, Lehman, Pedersen, and Cram, they introduced the term supramolecular chemistry. And this definition is very famous, which is given by Lehman, that is chemistry beyond the molecule. I will be explaining it, but I want to tell you one thing. Pedersen was the person who was never a PhD, and he never did it even after getting the Nobel Prize. So for getting good work, you don't require a degree. Okay. So these three in collaboration, they worked in collaboration. They were at different places, but they work in same direction, and they gave the term supramolecular chemistry, for which they got the Nobel Prize in 1987. And another Nobel Prize, which is very recent and very important in this field, is Nobel Prize of 2016 that is in the field of nanoscience, and it belongs to supramolecular chemistry. So broader heading is supramolecular chemistry, and the focused area is nanoscience. Stoddard, Sauvage, and Feringa. They got the Nobel Prize. They also worked in different places, but the work is same. They're working in the field of preparation of molecular machines. And they were given a Nobel Prize because of their work, which Nobel Committee thought that it is the future of medicinal chemistry. So they gave the Nobel Prize in anticipation that the future of medicinal chemistry will be brightened by the work of these three gentlemen. So these three, they are still working in their field, and still we are seeing their publications, which are very frequent in very high impact journals. So now come to the point, what is supramolecular chemistry, which is chemistry beyond the molecule. So it is, you can see this pictorial diagram, and in supramolecular chemistry, see, I have shown two components with different colors, and these components, they are together to give this. Now below at lower end, I have shown the power of covalent bond. If again here there are two components which I have shown with different color, and the product is different. It is different from the substrates, and from the product you cannot guess the substrates. Okay, but if we see the product of the supramolecular chemistry, by seeing the product you can judge that what are the substrates. So supramolecular chemistry is association of two or more than two entities through non-covalent interactions, and each entity maintain its identity in the final product, but all the components, they work together to give a different function. Okay, so I will explain again. Supramolecular product is generated through non-covalent interactions by interaction between two or more than two entities, and in the final product the identity of each entity is retained, its work is retained, and all the components, they work independently to give a different work, different output for the final product. But in case of traditional covalent chemistry, the two components, they react to give a new molecule which has properties very different from that of its component. In the next slide, it is very clear. So see, I have given the preparation of plastic. So these are two components, and the interaction is covalent. So by covalent interaction, this product is generated. So you can see this is the look of first substrate, this is the look of second, and this is the product. So product is entirely different from its component in case of covalent chemistry. But when the interactions are non-covalent, identity of each component is retained, and each different components, they work together to give a different work, and all the components, they are playing some role when they are together. So these are different non-covalent forces. So in the first, I have shown the strength of covalent bond. So you can see how strong covalent bond is. And these are different non-covalent interactions. And you can see only hydrogen bond, it is having some significant strength. And other interactions, they are very weak. So all the non-covalent interactions, they are very weak. Then how they can provide strength which is equivalent to the covalent bond? Okay, this is one question. Second is, I want to explain the hydrophobic effect particularly. So you can see hydrophobic effect. It is too weak that it is very difficult to measure its strength. But I have used hydrophobic effect in my research work. So you can see in the leaflets, water droplets. So water droplets, they appear like sphere because of their repulsions with the leaf surface, which is hydrophobic in nature. So similarly, if in a beaker we have water and we introduced organic molecules into it, what will happen? All the organic molecules, they will come together at one place due to the hydrophobic effect. So due to hydrophobic effect, non-polar substance, they undergo aggregation and they generate a space which is safe from the water molecules. So we have utilized hydrophobic effect for exploring the supramolecular chemistry. You will see it in my next lecture. So now the question was, when the non-covalent forces are very weak, then how they can beat the covalent forces? So here is the answer. I think all of you must have read about the Gulliver travels. And during one of his travel, he visited the places of dwarf. And what dwarf people do, they pinned Gulliver down to the ground and he was pinned using small strings. So you can see how many strings are there. And so strong was the strength of the strings that Gulliver was not able to rise on his feet. So you can see these small strings. Strings are very small, but the number is very high. So this is how non-covalent interactions they work. Their strength is weak, but overall their number is very high. Okay. So I started my research career in 2007 and I started with the preparation of biscotic molecules. And my target so application was divided into categories. One was molecular recognition, that is the recognition of biologically important molecules and preparation of diagnostic probes. And second was catalytic application, that is the preparation of the enzyme mimic. So this was the first project which I started, and the project was development of a bond here. This is called terphenyl and this is triphenyl. You don't go by the structure, only see the target was preparation of a bond here. And there are two methods. One is oxidative cyclization, other is photochemical cyclization. And in both cases, the yield is very low. And when we started, we prepared this molecule and this was the protecting group. We were adopting deprotection strategy. And this was the deprotecting agent. And we expected that when we will use this compound, we will get this deprotection. This is the protection of hydroxy group. And when they will be deprotected, we will get this. But what happened? When we started with this molecule, we
वंदना
added.
मैम एक्सक्यूज मी
हाँ जी हाँ जी
ਤੁਹਾਡੀਆਂ ਸਲਾਈਡ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਆਈ ਗੈਸ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਆਈ ਗੈਸ ਉਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਲਾਈਡਸ screen share.
एक मिनट
Yatin, can you see the slides?
No, ma'am. It's not shared yet.
नीचे मैम शेयर स्क्रीन ਦਾ ਜੋ ਬਟਨ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ
कर्सर नहीं आ रहा ना
नीचे जो ग्रीन बटन है शेयर स्क्रीन ਦਾ जो ਤੁਸੀਂ
नहीं यार एक मिनट हाँ तुम नहीं आ रहा केमिकल सोसाइटी हो क्यों नहीं रहा
ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਵਿੰਡੋਜ਼ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਆਪਸ਼ਨਸ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪੀਪੀਟੀ ਵਾਲੀ ਸਿਲੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ जो शेयर स्क्रीन पे क्लिक करोगे a box will open with many windows
मैं थी नहीं जा रही
ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਪਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਡਿਸਕਨੈਕਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਜੁਆਇਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ
हाँ मैं
ਉਸ
यही
ਕਰਕੇ
कर
ਨਾ
नहीं ठहरो हो जाएगा हो जाएगा हो जाएगा
हो गया
कैनट हो गया ना
नहीं नहीं ये तो यतिन ने शेयर की
नहीं ये जतिन दा होया
हाँ जी यतिन
जतिन दा होया ठहरो मैं कर दिया
हाँ जी
हो गया
हाँ आया तो
Yeah,
है
yes.
बट yes we can
Yes.
see that हाँ जी
Now it is visible.
it's
Okay.
Please continue from discotic. मैम तो सुत्तो सीगे उत्थों नहीं समझ
अच्छा डिस्कॉटिक तो okay so I started my work on discotic materials so you can see their shape is disc like that's why they are called discotic and basically there were two targets one was synthesis of the molecule second was the application and there were two applications one is molecular recognition that is the recognition of biologically important molecules and preparation of diagnostic probes and second was catalytic applications preparation of enzyme mimic so this was the first molecule which we started and this molecule in this you should bother about this bond only our target was to prepare bond here carbon bond and in literature two methods are reported one is oxidative cyclization other is photochemical cyclization and in both cases the yield is very low so methods are not effective so we adopted a protection strategy I know for some students this may be tough to understand, but master course students, they can understand protection strategy. So in this case, functional group is protected and later on it is deprotected. Okay. So this was the molecule and we were expecting this. But when we did practically in the lab, instead of getting this, we got this. And there was a huge color change. Okay, our plan was to prepare bond here in the next step, but without any planning, we got bond here. So this was my first project and the credit goes to my student, Dr. Hardev. So serendipity, it was only serendipity and it was the observation of the student which led me to this result. So observation of student is very important. This is the message from this work. So in this case, when deprotection was there, huge negative charge was generated on this oxygen atom. And due to this negative charge, bond appeared here. In literature, this method is very difficult and it requires, it leads to the final product in low yield, but we got it quantitatively without using any agent. So this reaction was enthalpically favored. Enthalpically favored. This work was highlighted. He got best poster award also. And this work was accepted very rapidly. So all credit was due to the student for his good observation. So this was the starting point. And in the next, now I will discuss the very recent results from my lab in this direction. And why we use fluorescence very frequently for our signaling process, because when we are doing molecular recognition, we should have some signaling. And here This picture I have shown that if you catch a rat in your homes, the signal is sound. Okay, signal is sound. And in this case, when you go to some bank, or for example, for starting my mobile, I need the fingerprint of my this finger. So this is again a signal. And this person, James Bond, is very famous as a detective. So for me, he is also working like my molecule. And who is giving the signal? Fluorescence is giving the signal. Okay, so these are the probes. I will tell you a little bit about the fluorescence. I understand that most of you, they know the UV spectroscopy, except the first year students. So UV spectroscopy is absorption. So when the electrons, they absorb the radiation, this is UV. This is actually not fluorescence, this is phosphorescence, but it is similar. When electron return from the excited state to the ground state, this is fluorescence. So this is more sensitive as compared to absorption. That's why we are using fluorescence spectroscopy for our various experiments. So this is one example I have given. So they see this oil, this is highly fluorescent, and when analyte is there, aniline is there, this is the molecule, it is fluorescent, but when aniline is added, fluorescence is gone. This response is called turn off. This is another example. This is the emission of the molecule, and when analyte is introduced, emission color is changed. This is called turn on. So two terms are very commonly used when we use fluorescence, that is turn off and that is turn on. Okay. But the problem which we faced next was what will happen when we prepare our molecule and when we will apply it. Because for application, we will be using aqueous media. So here comes the solvent effect. And I am sure everybody knows about the solvent effect. So the question is, when organic molecules are introduced in the aqueous media, they will undergo packing, hydrophobic effect. Now, how is the packing? If this packing leads to quenching, quenching means emission is gone. If this addition, if this solvent leads to quenching, it is called aggregation caste quenching, then the molecule is not of use. We need a molecule which is fluorescent in the aqueous media. So everybody, I think, must have listened this story. So this story is United We Stand. Okay, so this is how a farmer gave a lesson to his sons to remain together. So I want to modify this story further because it is important to stay together. But how is the packing? The strength of the pack material depends upon the type of packing, and type of packing depends upon the shape and geometry of the wood log. If all the logs are symmetrical, they will be well packed. If they are not having same symmetry, they are of different size, different shape, then the packing will not be appropriate to have very strong piles of wood. So this story is an inspiration. So with this, when we were working around that time, 2001, there comes some report about the molecules which were very fluorescent in aqueous media. It will be very clear in next slide. So see, first oil, it is the organic media. And when water is introduced, initially the molecule is not fluorescent. But when water is introduced, it becomes highly fluorescent. This is because of number one, hydrophobic effect. Number two, restriction to rotation. In such type of molecules, they are designed. Every molecule don't behave like this. It is designed like this. And what is the design? In this case, a stator, a fixed position, and a rotor, which is free to rotate. They are connected through a single bond. And initially, this bond is rotating, so molecule is not emitting. But when some restriction is introduced, for example, in this case, the restriction is aqueous media. So due to the hydrophobic effect, these molecules are together, rotation is restricted and they become highly fluorescent. So the message is, united we stand, together we shine. Individually they don't shine, but once they are together, they shine. So taking cue from this, we designed this molecule from our lab, and this work was highlighted in Noteworthy Chemistry because this was the first report in which the fully aromatic system was generated. And it was Tang, Professor Tang is the pioneer worker in this field, and he highlighted our work. And this work was done by Dr. Varun. He's currently in Canada. He's a faculty there. And this year is the 20th anniversary of aggregation-induced emission enhancement. And this journal has launched a virtual issue in it, in which 30 articles from all over world has been highlighted. And I am very proud to say that our article is one from India, which is highlighted among the 30 articles on the 20th anniversary of AIE. So we have prepared a variety of molecules, we utilize them in different ways. So utilizing hydrophobic effect, utilizing aggregation-induced emission enhancement, and we have used fluorescence as the signaling technique. So now I will discuss some few results, and I have simplified them. Please listen to them. So first work I am going to explain is how we have prepared entropically favored material which undergo chirality transformation. So if you remember my first work, 2007 work, then it was enthalpically favored, and this one is entropically favored. And this is done by Sonia. She is here now. She is in the third year of her PhD. So chirality, everybody knows. I think from the first semester, this topic is there in the organic chemistry. So I will not tell you much about this, but you can see the biological molecules. They have chiral unit. They are chiral, and chirality is important because I have highlighted some drugs. Ibuprofen, penicillin, dopamine. So they all have, they all are chiral. We don't need racemic mixture. We need enantioselective units. So you may be knowing the story of thalidomide. I will not repeat here, because if you change the isomer, the effect of drug is changed. So chirality is very important. And as a student, when I was a student, I was very much fascinated by collagen. Collagen, they provide strength to the muscles, and they are helical fibers. And interesting thing about the collagen is that they are 3 polypeptide chains. So you can see I have shown it in different colors. These are 3 polypeptide chains. And when they are together, they provide strength to the muscle. And when each chain is present independently, it is left-handed. Interesting thing is this, it is left-handed when it is present independently, but once the 3 polypeptide chains, they are together, they are right-handed. This is called chirality transformation. And chirality transformation is very important because it provides strength because it is right-handed. If it is left-handed, it will not provide strength. So chirality transformation is important to have a particular function. So target of organic chemist is to control the chirality through the chirality transformation. So our work is centered around this phenomena. So I will directly, these are some of the literature reports And I want to stress this report. So you can see it is having P-type orientation. And this work is done by Professor Ajay Ghosh. He is director of NIST, Thiruvananthapuram. But the limitation of this work is everything is done in the organic media. So for our work, we designed this molecule and we introduced this chiral handle. This is the chiral handle which will provide the chirality. Now I come to the, this is TAM. So you will listen, TAM we have used to study the morphology, and in our university we have this instrument. We can have a look at the morphology using this instrument. And this is circular dichroism spectroscopy. It is very similar to absorption. The benefit is you can know the orientation of the molecule. If it is left-handed, you will get a negative peak, and if it is right-handed, you will get the positive peak. So these two techniques are important to understand this work. So this is our work, and this is the molecule. This is the chiral handle, and you will be surprised. Initially, the molecule didn't give any signal in CD. It means it was not chiral. Either it was a mixture, equal mixture of left and right-handed. So that's why we were not getting any signal. But once we introduced water, assemblies were formed and we got a negative signal. Why we got a negative signal? Because this handle was L, okay, left-handed. So it means when the molecule is aggregated, the handle is controlling the chirality and we got a negative signal, and TEM show us the formation of fibers which are having M orientation, okay? And when we study different metal ions only in the presence of nickel ions, you can see the signal is positive now. It means chirality is transformed. Initially it is negative, but in the presence of nickel it is positive, and you can see the orientation of the fibers. Now it is P-type. Okay, so morphology and CD, they were sporting the chirality transformation. How it happens? So I told you the story. In story, the packing of the wooden log is very important. So before nickel, the molecules are packed head to tail. They are called J aggregate. And in presence of nickel, the packing is changed. Now they are H aggregate. By changing the packing, chirality was transformed. Okay. So next interesting thing was the whole phenomena, it was in water. And when we examined it, you will easily understand the value of delta H. And you can see the sign is positive. It means enthalpy is not favorable. Okay. But see delta G, it is negative. So who is favoring? It is the entropy. So the whole process was entropically favorable. The reason is when nickel is introduced, it is surrounded by a large number of water molecules. But when nickel interacts with the molecule, the water molecules are released. So whole process becomes entropically favorable. So we were able to control the chirality. Then we moved one step further. We checked it with different biomolecules and it showed signal with histidine. And in this case, you can see with the two isomers of the histidine, we got two types of signals which were mirror image to each other. And in the TEM image, you can see parallel orientation of the fibers. So this is called super helix, just like the collagen. So in the next slide, I will completely explain it. So initially molecule is not chiral. When water is introduced, it becomes chiral. It is J aggregate. When nickel is introduced, chirality is transformed. Initially it is M type, then it is P type. And again, further super helix is generated and mirror symmetry is generated. So in the first place, water is controlling the chirality. In the second, nickel is controlling the chirality. And the third, histidine was controlling the chirality. So this is how it worked. Okay. So now I come to the next result from our lab, where we have prepared a diagnostic probe for the sensing of creatinine. And now again, I must highlight, the credit goes to my daughter, because she once asked me that what I am doing, I should prepare something for the diagnostic. So the message is discuss research with the family. Okay. So testing of creatinine is very important. This is the only available test to understand the health of kidney. And Jeff's method is used to test creatinine in our daily life. And it costs around 200 to 300 rupees for each test. Now, this is the structure of creatinine and how Jeff's method works. Creatinine interacts with picric acid to form this complex, which is observed by UV spectroscopy. So basically for Jeff's method, absorption spectroscopy is used, and for this picric acid is a necessary because creatinine is colorless and picric acid will give the color. So this method is in use. This is flawless method, but the only limitation is picric acid. Picric acid is toxic and one should do effort to remove picric acid from this test. So this is what we have done. We have replaced UV spectroscopy with fluorescence spectroscopy. So again, this is the design molecule. Don't go by the structure, but only see. To start with, it is having this orientation, which is called H-type. And when we introduced metal ion, packing is changed. Now it is J-type. And you can see the TEM images, it is changed. And when this metallic ensemble is tested for creatinine, it gives this structure, and we were able to check creatinine through the fluorescence spectroscopy. And then what we did, we collaborated with SRL Diagnostic and we collected samples of the patients. So this is the determination of creatinine using our probe, and this is the creatinine determination using the Jeff's method. And you can see the results are very comparable in the shorter range also and in the longer side also. And then we determined the cost also. For 10 preparation of 10 milligram of the probe, the cost was less than $1. So method is economic also. Okay, so this is one diagnostic probe, and we are doing further studies to improve it further to decrease the cost, and we are trying to increase its sensitivity also. And this work is done by Kulvinder. Okay, so next I will discuss some result in which we are trying to prepare supramolecular catalytic ensembles enzyme mimic. And behind this work is my teaching experience of physical organic chemistry and bioorganic chemistry. So this is very interesting. In one semester, that is odd semester, I will be teaching physical organic chemistry, and in the E1, I will teach bioorganic chemistry to master students and physical organic chemistry to bachelor students. And both paper, they generate a lot of fear among the students. And both paper are very different. One belongs to material chemistry, other belongs to biological. So it is not a trouble for students, it is a trouble for me also. But see, you will see my next research, it is wholly solely dedicated to these teaching experience which I have received by teaching these classes. So the lesson is always accept the challenging assignments. So why catalysis is important? So I have drawn the structure of a number of drugs, and you can see CN bond, CC bond, CN bond, CN bond, CN bond, CN bond, and CC bond. Where are CC bond? Okay, CN. So CN bond is more highlighted. but actually form nitrogen. It is very important for generation of many drugs. Okay, and palladium catalyzed organic chemistry. I think master students, third semester, they must be knowing this. I think second year also, first year and second year, they may be knowing palladium catalyzed couplings, Suzuki coupling, Heck coupling, Sonegashira coupling, Miura coupling. These are the coupling which are used frequently for synthesis of these compound and important. In 2010, Nobel Prize was awarded for Suzuki, Heck, and Nagashi coupling. Okay, but these couplings have some limitations also because all the coupling are palladium catalyzed, and palladium is more costly than the gold. And another limitations I have mentioned here. For handling palladium, you need inert atmosphere. If palladium is used under aerial condition, palladium will not be stable. Okay, so inert condition means you need nitrogen or argon to carry out the reaction. This is how the reaction is done. You cannot do it under the lab condition. You need nitrogen gas or argon gas. Second thing is heating is required at very high temperature. So many of you must have done the organic chemistry practical, and you should be aware of the fact that thermal heating is very essential. But actually many problems are due to this thermal heating because you get many side product. And when you get side product, you have to do the column chromatography, thin layer chromatography, and preparative TLC. So all these things, they increases the cost of the reaction. So we need catalytic systems which can decrease the cost of the reaction. So there are two ways. One is follow this route, and the second is follow this route. So maybe some students, they know about the tunneling experiment, but I have not done tunneling here. So I have got the inspiration from nature, that is use sunlight as the source of heating. Instead of thermal heating, use solar radiation. Okay, so this is how it is planned. We take a molecule which absorb in visible region, then we prepare the assemblies, molecule react with the metal ion and reduce it to generate nanoparticle. Then this whole system, molecule plus nanoparticle, is used as the catalyst. Okay, so how it happens? Initially, molecule is prepared, which is present separately. Water is introduced, aggregates are generated. This is how it happens. Molecule is present in the organic solvent. Water is introduced, aggregates are generated, then metal ions are introduced, nanoparticles are generated, and catalyst is prepared. The whole process is very fast. It is green, room temperature, no reducing agent is needed. This is how we prepare our catalytic systems, and this is called nanocatalysis. In your master course, you have studied homogeneous catalysis and heterogeneous catalysis. Both have their plus and minus, but nanocatalysis is very different. It is highly active, selective, and it is reusable. So we are using nanocatalysis, and I will discuss two results from this section. One is CH activation. Most of you don't know anything about the CH activation. Why? Because whenever we do some reaction, we have a leaving group here. Okay, so we want to prepare a bond here, carbon-carbon bond. What we will do, we will have a leaving group, and that leaving group will leave during the course of reaction to give this product. But if we remove this bond directly, then so benzene is cheaper than the halobenzene. But problem is cleavage of CH bond is not easy. This bond is very strong bond. You must know this. If you know the chemistry very well, you must know that generation of anion is not possible. It is very difficult to remove the H. So this is called CH activation. And we have done work in this direction to remove this bond directly. So again, the inspiration is biology. So in biology, this enzyme, cytochrome P450. So see here the reaction. This is CH bond. It is cleaved directly by this enzyme. Okay. So this is hydroxychloroquine. This is nowadays in a news, and it was prepared by Woodward, a very renowned organic chemist of the last century. So this shows the importance of CH activation. Why CH activation is important. So for this come under the category of green organic transformation. So we will be using visible light as the source of radiation. So this is how we prepared the molecule assemblies we prepared, and the molecule showed interaction with gold and iron, and we prepared this nano hybrid material by adopting the procedures I explained just now. And this is our catalyst. And then we tried it for the CH activation reaction here. And this is how it happens. The product was obtained in 80% yield, water was used as the solvent, and paraformaldehyde was used for the generation of carbon monoxide. So we were also needing carbon monoxide. So this is how it happens without using any leaving group. By using this catalytic system, we were able to activate the CH bond. This is how we tested the substrate scope, and it showed good substrate scope. And this is the mechanism. And please see that here it is CH bond, which is activated by the catalyst, and CH bond, and on the it is activated by the catalyst, and then radical is generated. So you don't need any leaving group. Without any leaving group, this H was removed from the system, and it reacted with the second part to give the final product. And the whole reaction was SCT mechanism, single electron transfer mechanism. Some of you must have studied in your classes. Okay, so this catalyst was having iron also, so it was very easy to separate it. Just put up a magnet, and initially this is the situation. Then by using a magnet, you can remove the catalyst. So recyclability up to the 11th cycle was obtained using this catalyst. So this is why I call it enzyme mimic, because the reaction was done in aqueous media and catalytic sites were there. Gold and iron were the catalytic sites. The molecule brought the organic substrate nearer to it. Conformational changes were there. Molecule was absorbing in visible region to absorb the sunlight, and it was recyclable. Okay. So next result is CN bond. So you must have not noticed that CN bond formation is also very important. So this work is done by Gurpreet. I will directly come to the work. So this is how the nanoparticles are analyzed. We need TAM, EDX.
Vandana ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. Okay, okay, thank
5
you.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the substrate scope, how it worked. And so in this case, we prepared a filter paper strip also and use it directly for the reaction. We could get the recyclability up to 3 cycles. So this I skipped. So this is the, and for the molecular recognition, we started with enthalpically favored, and at the end, we are at the entropically favored. For the enzymatic reaction biomimic, so we started with simple nanoparticles, and we are here for the metal-free photosynthesizer. So these are my students who graduated from our lab, and we are very thankful to them. And this is my present group, and I have written United We Stand because this is our slogan for the AI. And our team, Dr. Manoj Kumar, Together We Shine. And at the end, these are my present students, and I am thankful to CSPR, DST, UGC, DRDO, and SCRB for the funding, and Guru Nanak Dev University for the research facilities. And at the end, thanks to you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for such an informative lecture. And so I would like to inform the participants that we are open to question answer session of the series. So you can raise your hand available in the participants list if you have any questions, or you can directly post an amazing lecture as a along with your research experiences and research work.
Thank
We
you, Yatin.
also came to know how you are using the daily life experiences in your research work, and that was a great motivation for us. Thanks again.
Yeah.
And, I request all the participants to please ask your questions, if any, by raising your hand participants list,
And they
or
can ask
directly
me.
post your question.
They can ask me later also.
Okay, ma'am has said that you can directly ask your question after your lecture also. So
Dr.
I think we are
Please,
having someone.
you
Yes,
have to
yes,
stop
please.
sharing your screen if you can. Oh, no, it's okay. She is visible.
Okay.
She's
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, my question is that you have told us that you moved
Please
from the
introduce yourself and then please ask your question.
sir, myself Nisha from MSc Honors Chemistry Semester 4, and
Okay.
I want to ask that you have moved from the enthalpically favorable reactions to entropically favorable reactions. But ma'am, I want to know that how you measure enthalpy or entropy of a reaction after doing it.
We have an instrument here, ISC, isothermal calorimeter. So GNDU, all the instruments I have shown you except CD. CD will be here very soon, and Dr. Venus is going to be in charge of that instrument. So please understand the whole work is done at GNDU. Okay, all the facilities are available here. Whatever I have shown, nothing is done from outside the GNDU, and instrument is available in the GNDU, which can be used to measure the entropy as well as enthalpy.
Thank you, ma'am.
If anyone is having question, you can please ask your questions. I think nobody is having any questions. So, am I visible? Am I visible?
I think she,
Yeah,
I would ask.
Audible?
So it was a fantastic talk,
yeah.
Vandana ma'am. It was very, very nice to understand
thank
what
you,
you are doing finally. Never got the chance to have a talk from, listen a talk from your side. I'm not an organic chemistry guy, but I mean, yeah, I work with bigger molecules, but I can understand what you are trying to say. It is beautiful to see all these things being done in our place. And the students must understand this thing, why she is putting an emphasis. It is not easy to do things in a place like ours, okay? And what she has managed to do, it's not easy. And that's a feeling in itself, okay? And that day we were talking to Dr. Jeet also. So, and उस lecture के दौरान हमने ये बात करी थी कि it is not that India doesn't have facilities, but जैसे हमारे यहाँ पे अमीर और गरीब का difference बहुत बड़ा है. Particularly यहाँ पे जो top institutes हैं और जो colleges और universities में उनमें difference बहुत बड़ा है. So the same thing is with the rich and poor in the developed countries. वहाँ पे rich और poor में इतना difference नहीं आता जितना हमारे यहाँ पे आता है. So the same thing is here. In spite of all that odds, she has been doing a wonderful work, and she is the pride of our department. Not only our department, she is the pride of our university.
Thank you, Dr. Venus.
And you guys should, and it is so beautiful to see the motivations she has listed on the top of each slide. That you have to, I mean, I will be have recorded this session and I'll put it on the YouTube. And you should show it to your friends who have not attended the lecture. It is very important that you listen to what faculty members are doing in your own department. And it is good to go to other places. As I always say, the teacher inside me always says that you must achieve good results and should go to good institutions. We feel very proud, but at the same time, you should also keep in mind what people are doing over here. And it's not
That is important.
yeah, so I mean, I would always say there are people who are doing wonderful work and join here, but at the same time, as a teacher, I will advise you, try your best to go.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. One should go where he wants. One should follow the passion.
Yeah.
Go where whatever you want to do.
And I think Kritika had some question. Maybe I'll put her on.
Kritika from MSc first year. Ma'am, my question
okay.
is the catalyst which you used for CH activation, like CH bond is strong enough, as we know, so that catalyst is enough. CH bond like weakens and then it leaves and make a carbon ion, or what, like that catalyst is enough, like how the interaction factors involved that weakens that CH bond.
So if you have seen the catalyst is gold, and gold is a plasmonic metal. Okay, plasmonic metal means it can harvest solar radiation and then it can transfer it. Okay, and solar radiations, they are very energetic. The trick for CH activation is that the catalyst should be closer to the CH bond. Okay, if I go to that slide. So see, in this case, the trick was this group, NH2. NH2 has a supramolecular interaction for the gold. So this NH2 group bring gold closer to this bond. And now this gold has absorbed energy from the solar radiation. And you don't understand, I don't know how much you understand about the solar radiations. They are really very energetic. So once this site is closer to this bond, that energy is transferred here. So that energy will cleave the bond to generate the radical. Okay. So when you study free radical reaction, you are always using an initiator. You remember? The initiator.
Yes.
It initiates the reaction. So in this case, the gold is actually the initiator. And if this group is not here, NH2 group is not here, this reaction will not go. So this group brings the gold closer to this bond. Okay. And this work is, I think I should tell you more, that this work is, I have mentioned somewhere, not here. So this work is also reported from India, and that is from NCL Pune. So what I am highlighting is, see, previous work was done by the director of NIST, and this work is also done by NCL Pune. So see, we are doing this work at GNDU. This is important. Okay, we are doing same work which other people at reputed institutes they are doing. So money is there. That's what Dr. Venus was saying. Money is there, but there is a difference. But still, we are able to do. And I am thankful to my students who are doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, Jatin.
I think Yatin problem with the Yatin
Okay.
thing. So maybe the students are not, I mean, they are shy to ask questions. After all, you are teaching them, you know? So they might be having, yeah, but I mean, it was wonderful to listen to you, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, there were like around 70 people listening to you, and they stayed there for the whole time. And it is such a nice thing to see that students are joining the session voluntarily and listening to.
Yeah.
And our idea is to do more such lectures, and we thank Vandana ma'am from the depths of our heart that she has agreed to give this lecture. And we are also trying to plan other such lectures from our own faculty members and from outside also. And I hope you guys will keep on joining us here. And before I leave, I will just announce the ma'am, can you please stop sharing your screen? I have to make
Yeah. This is thanks, Venus, for the invitation.
just don't leave, but just stop sharing the screen. I'll just share something.
Okay. It's done.
Yes. Okay, so regarding the announcement, so this is what we are going to have tomorrow. Wait. How do you go? Wait. Yeah, this tab is here. I have to.
It is visible.
Okay, so tomorrow we are having with us Dr. Shazia Khanam, and this is in the lecture series which I'm having. I'm organizing so that to make aware people who are trying to make a career in basic sciences. I'm trying to find people who have went into different background. I mean, उनकी background सबकी same है. Basic sciences में उन्होंने PhD करी है, but after that they went into totally different directions. And the first one was the standard direction, which is research and teaching, which was the interaction with Professor Jeet from ISR Pune. The next one is tomorrow, that is with Dr. Shazia Khanam, and she will be telling us about scientific editing. Basically, whatever papers you write, whatever journals are there, publishing houses are there, there are people, dedicated people who are working in those places, and they are doing a lot of work. So she will be telling you what kind of a career you can make in scientific editing after doing your degrees in basic sciences, after masters or after a PhD degree, and how good it is, or what are the job opportunities, and what is the nature of the job, and all those things. And next Thursday, next week Thursday, we'll be having with us Dr. Bindiya Arora, and she will be talking with us about quantum computing. Now, quantum computing is something which जो हम सब जो भी science fiction movie देखते हैं, जब भी कुछ को complicate करना होता है, we always say something about the quantum realm and all that kind of things. So quantum का जब भी नाम आता है, chemistry वाले student quantum पढ़ते हैं. Unfortunately अभी मुझे पढ़ानी पड़ रही है. But the thing is कि quantum is something which is very important, and quantum computing is something which is like very fashionable in the technology terms these days. So she'll be telling us the realities of quantum computing, what is the current stages, and what are the possibilities. So basically, in a very, very simple way, she'll be explaining what is quantum computing. And these are the two things which are coming from this direction. And then other things Yatin will announce, and we will be announcing it through our Instagram and other pages. So please follow us there and join us next week for these sessions. And once again, I thank Vandana ma'am for being with us today and giving us such a wonderful lecture. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Okay, bye.